Hi, Shalom friends. We have two holidays that come within 2 months of each other, and to a certain extent, they're actually one unit. It's Pesach and Shavuos. Passover, the Exodus, and Shavuot, the Festival of Weeks, when we receive the Torah. Yet when you examine the metaphors that are used for Pesach and then for Shavuos, we see a remarkable difference. When Moshe is asked by Hashem to go to Pharaoh and to demand the release of his people, it's predicated on B'ni B'chari Yisrael. Moses says to Pharaoh, the Jewish people are God's firstborn. And indeed, in the whole conversation that Hashem has with Moshe, it is tell the Jewish people that they have remembered the covenant that they have made with their fathers. What seems to be emphasized is the relationship between a child and a parent, God being the parent, the Jewish people being his son or his daughter or his child, and therefore the rights and obligations that ensue from that relationship. However, when we come to Mount Sinai and God gives us the Torah, and according to the sages, he asks, do you want the Torah? And we say willingly yes. Suddenly there's a new image, and that is of a wedding, where God is the groom and the Jewish people are the bride, and the Torah itself is occasionally described as the groom to the Jewish people, the bride, and sometimes the other way around. So I ask you, what could be a closer relationship than a child to a parent, and a parent to a child? Why would we be introduced to this model of marriage as a symbol of Torah? It's silly to try to compare which one of these two relationships are deeper. They're both very deep, they're both very meaningful, and they're both very significant. But let's point out perhaps in some ways where they are both similar and dissimilar. Similar is obviously the concern and the love and care and dedication. Where they're dissimilar is in at least two places. Number one, the relationship between a child and a parent is involuntary. Once the child is born, the parent becomes a parent, the child is a child, and then it's only a question of degree. Obedient child, disobedient child, loving parent, a parent who's abusive, God forbid. But the essential existential relationship between a parent and a child is involuntary. You can never divorce your children. You can never say, this is not my parent. You could say, I don't want to consider him a parent, but you can't say he's not my biological origin. Whereas in a marriage, we're talking about literally two strangers. And it's a voluntary relationship. And this voluntary relationship is based completely on voluntary. If one of the two or both decide to sever this relationship, then they may, they can, they should, and they're actually two strangers. So if either spouse marries someone else, there's no infidelity. Each one is considered single. Well, which leads us to the question, why would Hashem emphasize this voluntary relationship between him and us as likened to a marriage? Why not stick with this involuntary, biological, intrinsic connection of a parent to a child? Perhaps what comes to mind is that parents and children share a deep, abiding love, but not a lot of passion. In fact, there's very little fluctuation. Your child remains your child from infancy to old age. Your parents remain the same parent they were when you were 3 years old. They're your parents, the same exact parents when they're 93. The only difference is they can't move as quickly as before. Whereas in a marriage, we all know this, that there are times when we're exhilarated to be with a spouse, enthusiastic, deeply in love, very much feeling the devotion, and there are other times when we don't feel that. In fact, we want separation. In fact, we sometimes wonder, why are we in this relationship to begin with? But that too needs explanation. Why should a volatile relationship that's based on desire fluctuate so drastically? What is the essence of marriage? The essence of marriage actually is a fusion between independence and dependence. No one should marry a spouse that's as needy as possible, because then you're not really marrying a spouse. You're adopting a child. You're babysitting a child. The more independent the person is, the more self-confident, the stronger self-esteem the person has, the better the chances are for this marriage to succeed and to flourish. At the same time, in order for a marriage to be effective, there has to be a complete surrender, where a person says to their spouse, I am yours. It's not important what I feel. What's more important is, how can I please you? What can I do for you? How can I enhance and enlarge your life? And a marriage where we have two people surrendering their egos to one another, we have a fusion which is amazing. And yet they never, ever, ever lose their independence, and that's expressed in the case where they have to separate. So what is the secret? The secret between us and God is not that we have to listen to Him. The mystery is we want to listen to Him. We choose to listen to Him. When God gave us the Torah, the Jewish people said, we could be forced into this relationship. After all, you are our parent, and we only have two choices, to be obedient or disobedient. If we're disobedient, we might not get the benefits of you being a parent. But God wanted something much deeper, much more complex. He says, I want you to be part of this relationship. I want you to voluntarily join me in this relationship between a creation becoming one with the Creator. I want you to surrender yourself, your food, your desires, your choices in life. You are to say to me, God, I want what you want me to want. I desire what you want me to desire. My fulfillment is what you think is fulfilling. Says God, when you will surrender yourself completely to me, we will have passion. We will actually have a deep sense of oneness. And that's why in a true marriage, nothing changes you as deeply as marriage. Wherever you go, you now are an individual that represents two. Wherever you go, you represent your wife as much as yourself. Your husband is felt with you as much as yourself. And this is all voluntary. Friends, you could use this passion and this beauty and abuse it and get married to your job. I know you can't get married to your job. But how many of us surrender our identity to our profession or to our desires or to a habit? Is that really where you feel most fulfilled? No. We have an opportunity to marry a spouse. We are married to God. And as we strengthen one, the other relationship will be strengthened as well. As you strengthen your relationship to God, you will have a stronger marriage. And if you strengthen your marriage, you will realize how much you need to strengthen your relationship with God. It's a wonderful institution. It's a miracle. Let's celebrate it together. Shalom.